This episode of the Jobber's Delight podcast is brought to you by Pro Wrestling Legacy. Pro wrestling means legacy, and legacy is forever. And the PWL Podcast 915. For the fans by the fans.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the Jobber's Delights podcast with your main host, the professor of the PWL Podcast 915. We call him the historian, you call him the professor, we call him professor also, the one and only Arthur Wine. Say what's up, Arthur.
What's up, everybody?
All right, that's already, and I am BC Dan, also co-host with the professor here. Professor, what are we going to talk about tonight? What is tonight's topic of the old school?
I feel like the first episode really focused and showed how the NWO originated, how the invasion per se happened. But there's a lot of theories out there, man, of who was really behind all this invasion and Monday Night Wars in general. And I think today we should really look into the possibility that maybe this has been a work all along, and we've just been on the ride. Like maybe Vince McMahon, Ted Turner, Eric Bischoff were just all on the same page, man, and just took us on this ride and just brought wrestling back to the mainstream because it was getting a little dull.
Got you. Does that include WWE, or was it still WWF at the time?
Yeah, I believe it was.
It was, right?
Right. And I feel that's why they did it, man, because then DX came out.
Yeah.
We talked about it briefly, the Nation of Domination came out.
Yes.
A lot of groups came out. So I feel like if the theory has any truth to it, that Vince McMahon knew he had to light a fire somewhere, and see where it went. And I think why not do it better than do it with WCW?
Interesting take. Yeah, because I remember I used to hear that theory of Vince McMahon sending Vince Russo over to WCW to ruin them, and I know it's a lot of speculation, and some of the fans are like, no, well, it's not true, blah blah blah. But if you kind of do a little bit of research, which I kind of did, before we got on here, and I was looking at when Vince Russo went over to WCW, and it was October of 1999. Wow. The AOL Time Warner merger happened in the year 2000 and was finalized in 2001. Right. But that's when Ted Turner was going to be taken off of his seat at, I guess it was at TBS, at Turner Broadcasting.
Right.
So he pretty much didn't have any kind of control, and he didn't have that kind of money to be throwing around. So I know you had mentioned that maybe Vince paid him a substantial amount of money, or technically bought him out, if you want to say that. What's your take on that?
Yeah, man, and it goes all the way back to when there's an infamous time where Vince McMahon is talking about Ted Turner, and where Ted Turner called Vince, and Ted Turner told Vince, hey, I'm in the wrestling business now. And Vince said, well, that's good for you because I'm in the entertainment business. Like,
oh, wow.
Two totally different businesses, right? So, not to jump too far ahead, but the fact that Vince McMahon ultimately bought WCW, sent Shane over there and they did the whole thing. I feel that was just like the cherry on the top, and was probably the main goal from the get-go. Vince and Turner were always close. Bischoff had a little run with WWE where he really didn't make it, but everybody was very familiar with each other. So when I hear the theory and I put it into works in my head, I can totally see it all being a work, man. Like they just been playing us this whole time, but they played us so for our favor, to bring it back.
Exactly. Exactly. That's interesting. That's an interesting take. I like that take, man, because like my take is like, I think Vince Russo at the beginning, and that's what I think in the beginning, that he says he felt burnt out, And this is where it goes back to your theory, because it kind of does make sense, because Vince Russo was saying he was burnt out from WWF. He said he was undervalued, and SmackDown had just come out, I believe, in 1999, and so he was doing work for Raw and for SmackDown. It was burning him out, but yet WCW had Nitro and Thunder. So how can you be burnt out from one place and then all of a sudden you're coming to a new place? Yeah, you're getting more money, but you're going to get pretty much the same amount of work, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and the storylines he was using, I mean, like, because I kind of lost track of them probably back in, I think, when the whole NWO got kind of stale, and then they started bringing in all the ECW guys and they were giving them different names, and I kind of lost interest in that, so I stuck with WWF at the time. But I know, like, I when I watched the documentaries on WCW, WWF, Russo was coming up with some ridiculous storylines. Like, it was, to the point where, like, I think he won the belt. I know David Arquette won the belt at one point. It was just like, yeah, it sounds like, when you really think about it now, I'm a 48-year-old dude, man. But back then I was still in my 20s. Thinking about it now, it's like, wow, man, it kind of does make sense that it was pretty much sabotage, because who writes that bad, unless you want this product to to fail in the end.
Right. Totally, man. And I remember right before the whole NWO invasion happened, before the Monday Night Wars, I was watching a pay-per-view, a WWE pay-per-view, and it was Shawn Michaels versus Vader.
Okay.
And two legends, man, great
Yes.
wrestlers. But the match itself, it was just stale. Like, it was missing something.
Okay.
And shortly after, Vince Russo was given like head writer or whatever, and then the raunchiness came out.
Yes. Yes.
Like, there was women matches, there was lingerie matches,
Yes.
and fast forward to Vince Russo's run in NWO, WCW.
Hmm.
He was bringing that same energy, man. The raunchiness, the porn stars were coming in,
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
I feel that Vince Russo and Vince McMahon, they work together when it's time to kill the product. Like
Oh wow. Okay. Wow. That's a great take. Okay. Okay.
like we need to take care of this. We need to kill it so we can bring something new in. And and that's like Vince McMahon said when he brought the WWE back, NWO back into the WWE. I mean, I think his exact words were like, "I'm going to inject some cancer into
Hmm.
WWE." So in my opinion, that was like, okay, this is NWO's last run.
Hmm.
Let's see what we can do with it. Let's see. And I think it got bigger than they anticipated, because I mean,
Yeah.
they had Shawn Michaels in there, they had Booker T,
Yeah.
but
It got ridiculous again.
I remember one Monday Night Raw, I put on Raw, and Vince McMahon was like, "Well, there's just no more NWO," and that was the end of it.
Yeah.
There was no end to the storyline. It was
Yeah.
just on.
Yeah.
So in a
And I
way,
think, oh, go ahead, Art, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So in a way, I just feel like Vince McMahon was the puppet master behind all this, man. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Bischoff
Yeah.
was on board. Ted Turner was on board. Maybe AOL wasn't on board, to be honest with you. But yeah, man, we got played into becoming bigger fans, if you will.
Yeah, I think so too, because just like you said, the product was starting to get stale in both ends, if you think about it. Because, like, okay, yeah, you when you're a young kid, whatever, you're younger, it's like, oh wow, lingerie fight, all right, kick ass. But then, like, hey, I may sound stupid, I'm a guy, but I mean, after a while, you're like, okay, yeah, this is kind of getting old. It's like, kind of, let's do something else now. You know what I mean? Besides, another lingerie match or another pillow match, or
Right.
it reached its peak, I think, at that point. And you're right, maybe. And they needed, like, I guess, a new something fresh, you know and that's when, of course, the whole what was it? It was the Attitude Era, and then I think it was the Aggression Era. I
Yeah.
believe that's when that came in. So that's when you had, like, all these new school kids. At the time, it was like Batista, Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Randy Orton, all these new kids coming in. And I don't think, if there was competition back then, as far as like WCW, I don't think you could really showcase these guys as you could, to, like, have the crowd just concentrate on these guys as a one product. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean,
Right,
that's
man.
just my opinion.
Oh yeah, totally. I agree with it. And there's this picture that I'm pretty sure you've seen it, where Monday Night Raw and Nitro are like in like cities that are real close to each other.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of the NWO. You have DX, you have Stone Cold, and they're all together taking pictures, man.
Yeah.
So so these guys were feeding off of each other. They knew
Hmm.
what was gonna happen on each other's shows. They knew what to say, how to make people like, oh, I need to watch Nitro. No, 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 put it back on Raw.
Hmm.
So from that point of view, you got to see like, oh man, you started the war so people could get more interested.
Yeah.
You And I remember, man, there was a time where I thought DX and everybody they were gonna lose the war,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, man.
because I think it was like what I want to say 84 weeks they were losing the war,
Yeah.
and
82. It was 82 weeks. As a matter of fact, I sent an email about Eric Bischoff's podcast, 82 weeks.
nice,
And 82 weeks is when WCW was number one. And it was crazy back then. It's like, wow, man, like the mighty, Connecticut based, promotion, man. It was King Kong, man.
yeah,
And all of a sudden here comes Mothra and they're taking over and nobody expected it. But what's crazy is that's why I think, like, just going back to Vince Russo, just like you said, that's the reason Vince brought him in, because at the time Vince's gimmicks were all kind of cartoony. You
yeah,
know, you had like the dentist, and you had criminals and a garbage man and a hockey player. You had all sorts of weird characters, and it was like, yeah, okay, that's great for the kids, you know what I'm saying? But in the 90s, I mean, you kids out there don't know too much about the 90s, do your research, but
yeah,
back then it was like, it was innovative. It was so different, to see something like that, because us as kids growing up, we had Hulk Hogan, Big John Studd, you had your good guys and your bad guys. But just like we talked about in the last episode, it was very rare for anybody to cheer for the heels. And when the NWO did that, it was just amazing. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun.
yeah, man. I feel like the first heel people really, I wouldn't say they cheered him, but they respected him. I feel like the Undertaker brought that in.
That's true. Good
Like,
point.
like he was killing off Hulk Hogan, he was killing off all these good guys, but people still love to see the guy, you
Yeah.
know? And, I'm really surprised there wasn't more of like a Triple H in the NWO or a Shawn Michaels in the NWO.
Yeah.
But that's why I say, man, like the click, we're talking Nash, we're
Yeah.
talking Paul, we're talking Triple H, Shawn Michaels. Even though they were in different shows, one was DX, one was NWO, they were still click, man,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
when you start to really think about it, I mean, you want to get into the theories all you want. Um, they just fed off each other, man, and
Yeah.
it wouldn't have been a war without each other. So in a way, like thank God it happened. My buddy Lee, I went to high school with him. He also was in the EPWF scene with me.
Okay.
Hates Vince Russo, man, with a passion. You know, but I
he
always
hates
tell
he hates some bro. Hey, bro.
bro, he can't stand that guy. But like I try to make him understand, like he had a purpose,
Yeah.
whether we see it or not, because whatever he touched died, man.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it didn't
Yeah.
work.
Because I mean, I'm sorry to cut you off, but like real quick before I forget, that's a good point, because if you think about it, when he went to TNA, he practically bankrupted those dudes too. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
It got to
Become
the point where they had to put him like as a silent writer, because Dixie Carter still liked the dude, but like the network Spike TV at the time didn't want nothing to do with this guy, man.
Yeah, and it's funny, man, because I think he was beefing with Jeff Jarrett a lot when he was in TNA.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Jeff Jarrett was there at the time. That's right.
But I remember when Jeff Jarrett was early in his career. Of course, he's from a family of wrestlers, but
Yes.
Vince Russo was one of the main guys that was pushing him in WWE. So
Okay.
you it goes back to kayfabe, man. Like
Hmm.
what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
Um, at the end of the day, I mean, everybody's for the business, man. You don't have a business, you don't make money.
Yeah.
There's no merchandise, there's nothing. So you may say, "Oh, I hate this guy" or something like that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you're all part of this fraternity, man, and you're all
Hmm.
brothers trying to make something work.
Yep. And what sucks is that if it was about money back then, I think it's even 50 times worse nowadays. Because unfortunately, and it's at the cost of the fan. But back then it was so, again, like I said, like nowadays it sucks because you have internet. You got stupid social media, and then you find out about this, you find out about that. This guy's getting released, and me personally, like I don't like that. You know, I like the element of surprise. I like, you know, I remember when Jericho jumped over to WCW. I didn't even know about that. You know what I'm saying? I just remember I would hear rumors, but I was like, yeah, sure. You know, Jericho's a WCW guy, you know, Lionheart. And he comes out, one of the greatest, you know, debuts, I think, in my opinion. That's one of my favorite debuts when he debuted on Raw, you know, with the Y2J gimmick. And goes back again. Like, I mean, I think, like you said, like, I think Ted Turner knew that he was gonna get kicked out, you know, pretty much. Like, he wasn't gonna have, like, you know, the pull he used to have. You know, he didn't, WCW didn't have disposable income like they did in the beginning. And Vince figured, you know what, let's buy these guys out, you know, make something, just like you said, something fresh and new. And I mean, it's genius. I mean, say what you want to say about Vince McMahon. I'm not a big fan of his. I thought he was an asshole, you know. But at the end of the day, that dude is just all business, bro. He's all business, man. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. And going back to what you just said, internet and Instagram, wherever you look, you can see spoilers, right?
Yes.
So there's no chance for a buildup.
Yeah.
The
Yes. Exactly, man.
the whole Y2J thing. I mean, I think that was like what, like 3 months or something like that.
Yeah, 3 months in the making. Yeah, because they were showing it, like they would show like every, like, countdown to the millennium. That's what it
Yeah.
was, and they would
Yes.
show at the clock, and I was like, wow, what the hell is that? Like, who is that? You know, that was so cool, man. And then
Yeah.
nowadays you're like, oh, Andrade jumped ship. Oh, Karrion Kross got released. So and Matt Riddle's not in MLW. You know, it's like, dude, like, I stop. You know what I mean? I get it. These guys want to make a living off of these, but these dirt sheets are kind of, to me, they're kind of killing the biz. In all honesty, you know, because they're killing kayfabe, man. That's the problem.
Yeah, dude. And I don't know. I'm pretty sure you remember this when we were younger. Jim Ross had his own little like hotline,
Oh
right?
yeah, that was great. Yeah.
So you could get like the inside scoop, if you will.
Yes.
But even that was part of the storyline, right?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
whatever they wanted you to know or hear is what you heard.
Exactly.
But now, man, even in the local scene, like you see things on the internet, you're like, oh, I'm gonna throw out some local indie names, but oh, Chaos is in town. He posted
Yes.
something, he's in El Paso. So it puts it in the back of your mind, like, oh, well, maybe he's gonna
He's gonna
return,
come out. Yeah. And then
And
he himself that day, he did that decipher thing, you know, the numbers and the letters and stuff. And it's like, you know, like the hardcore fan. I mean, I'm not calling myself a hardcore fan, but it's like, you know what? In a way, it's kind of like a genius move, and in a way, it's a double-edged sword, because, you know, it's kind of cool, because if you're a true fan, you're gonna decipher it, and it's like,
right.
oh wow, he put 3 more days, you know. But at the same time, it's kind of killing the element of surprise, as like we went back to, you know, to that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think rest in peace, Bray Wyatt was able to do that even in today's time.
Yes.
I think we lost a great talent with Bray Wyatt, and but he's one of the ones, I could have seen him work in any era.
Oh
He could
yeah.
the WCW era, he could have been NWO. He could have went against DX, but that's
Hmm.
getting a little off the topic, man. But it just, the bottom line, Stone Cold. But the bottom line
Yeah.
is, back in the day, in the late '90s, early 2000s, we could get played because we didn't know any better.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
And now you see an Instagram post and you're like, oh, this dude is there, or
Yes.
there was a meeting and everybody was here, or, and I think another big factor is like The Rock is the man now, right? Triple H is
Okay.
the man now. So now you have wrestlers running the show.
Yes.
So they're more understanding. They're not like Vince McMahon. Um, and I just think they're over that whole NWO gang style stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um, so this new era that's coming out, I love it. I mean, I'm watching Raw right now.
Yeah.
It's nothing compared to the NWO era,
Oh
man.
no, dude, nothing, man. Like anything, man. Because even like, you know, getting off topic again, like just like you did. I'm gonna get off topic real quick. Just like with AEW when they first started, I thought, cool, man. This is gonna be like ROH 2.0. You know, they're gonna bring in some badass indie dudes, man. They're bringing in dudes from everywhere. I remember they brought in Warhorse, you know,
Yeah,
big name in the indie. I was like, wow, man, that's kick ass, dude. And then like they have him drop out to Cody, which I get. Cody's a big name. I get that, but dude, I'm thinking, yeah, man, they're gonna bring in these like indie. I like indie wrestling, bro. That's always been my thing, and you know, Yeah, I mean, nothing against WWE. It's like they were given a good product, but then all of a sudden they just, to me, I felt like I got betrayed,
Yeah.
by them, and after I was like, screw this. I was ROH. I was watching ROH. I gave it a shot. I'm like, wow, man, Bullet Club. Wow, man, Jay Lethal. Like, I've never seen these guys before. Motor City Machine Guns, War Machine. It was great. Then you got AW coming in. I'm thinking, all right, kick ass. Here we go. And no, man, it went back to just the whole corporate thing again. It reminds me of just WCW versus WWE again, man. And I kind of like lost interest in that, man.
Yeah, man, there was really big hopes for AEW. They were bringing in all these indie kids, and the main
Yeah,
thing they were doing different is they weren't trying to change them.
yeah, exactly, man.
But then you start hiring, well, you got like 55 guys on your roster, and it's a
Hey,
2-hour show.
yeah, and like half that, like 25 of them are ex WWE guys, man. You know what I mean? And I get it. You want to bring in like names, like to me. Again, sorry everybody, we're just gonna get off topic real quick, but I always find this interesting with art. Um, Like I get it. Like Moxley was disgruntled. Okay, cool. Jericho was disgruntled. Pac was disgruntled. Okay, yeah, those three guys, they're there for a reason. But like other dudes that came in, they just came in just as like pretty much as like to like freshen up their resume again. Like William Regal. Who else was there? Andrade.
Yeah,
Uh, who else? Oh, Malachi Black. You know what I'm saying? Because their shit got stale in WWE and they figured, oh, I'll come over here, and then they start seeing the game popular again, and then WWE shows interest. They're like, okay, bye, thank you, that's it. And I hate that about the business, bro. I get it, you want to grow, and but it just pisses me off. Like CM Punk's the biggest one, man. I I used to be a big Punk fan, bro, but I freaking hate his ass now because, dude, how are you gonna trash him and Cody, bro? Cody's another one, man. How are you gonna trash your ex-employer, talk all this crap about him, man? And the big corporation, Connecticut, this and that, and then you go back. And I get it, it's a business, bro. But dude, don't talk shit from the get-go, and then you look like a sucker, man. That's just me though. That's just me.
no, yeah, it makes total sense, bro, and it goes back to like the whole theory of the Vince McMahon NWO storyline. Like at the end of the day, these guys are all on the same page, man.
Yeah.
They're all trying to make money. Um, we have these AEWF guys coming over here. They
Yes.
want to work. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter where it is. And you just mentioned Jericho. He's in the rumors right now that he's returning to
Yes.
WWE. So
That's what I mean. That's what I'm telling you, man. It's like,
and I feel like Mox will, or Dean Ambrose,
yeah.
he'll return eventually too, man.
Yeah.
It's a cycle. It's a cycle. Like we said, things get stale, things get old. You got to kill it off, and you got to bring something new.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's just I don't know. It's just like that's the only thing that kind of saddens me about that. About I get it. It's a bit at the end of the day, it's a business, man.
Yeah,
But it just kills me. Like you like because like me as a fan personally, it's like I'm loyal. If I'm loyal to one thing, I'm like loyal to it. That's it, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I focus on that. It's my loyalties to you, and that's it. But then it kind of breaks your heart when you say like, oh man, Cody was like dope in the indies, man. He was good in New Japan. He was badass, dude. Came to AEW. Then all of a sudden, I don't know what. I don't think we're ever gonna know what happened.
yeah,
Between the Cody and AEW. What was it that made him leave? And all of a sudden he goes back at I'm like, dude, really? Like you trash these guys like bad, like and being the elite, you trash them up the ass, and there you go, man. It's just it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, bro. It really does, man.
yeah, man. That whole Team Elite thing. I thought that was great in AEW. I think they should have hung on to it with
Oh
Hangman
yeah.
and all that. But another one, Hangman. I wouldn't be surprised to see Hangman in WWE sometime.
Oh,
But
that
but
saddened me so much.
yeah, we went a little off a topic, but the
Yeah,
whole
yeah,
NWO, I guess the demise of them
yeah,
was, I mean, you knew it was going to happen, right?
yeah,
Maybe a lot of people didn't know. They thought it was going to be forever. But once they started bringing in Russo, and then I think they canceled Thunder. Me as a wre-
yeah,
Me
yeah.
as a wrestling fan, I was like, okay, this is gonna fade. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, hopefully, what's good in here from this show is gonna go into WWE,
Yeah.
and then Vince brought me NWO.
Yep.
And I was a little skeptical in the beginning, like, oh, how is this going to work? And you know what? I think it was beautiful, man. I think it was
Yeah.
played beautiful. It went a little too long, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Uh, Nash couldn't really wrestle. He really didn't have a program.
Yeah.
But that whole Hogan, Rock feud,
Rock, that was great.
Stone Cold, Scott Hall feud.
All yes.
Vince McMahon would never see this probably, but hey, man, thanks, Vince. That was great.
That was great. It was, man. And I'll take it a step further on this. And this is like this is one of my conspiracy theories, is that I think Ted Turner, and this is Ted Turner's thinking now, because like I said, I know he knew he was on the way out. Bischoff knew he was on his way out. So Ted Turner probably figured, let me bring in this guy and give a big FU to for this whole merger and taking me off. I'm gonna let this guy tank the product.
Yeah.
If you think about it, I mean, why not? It's like at the end of the day, he's not part of it anymore. So they can really see that, wow, Ted Turner can say, hey, man, I was a big factor in, the success of wrestling on the Turner Network,
Yeah.
and you're gonna throw me off, one of the guys, because like I said, like in some of the documentaries I've seen, like I remember like the guys from the Time Warner guys that came in, the AOL Time Warner guys, they didn't know jack about wrestling, man. They didn't know how to sell the product. They didn't know anything. And so I don't blame Turner for doing that. I don't blame him for bringing in Russo.
Yeah, and it plays into the fact or the theory that I mean, there's a lot of millionaires out there, bro,
Oh
and
yeah,
it just so happened that Vince McMahon was the one that got it, and I'm
yeah,
pretty sure somebody could have bid higher, and I
yeah,
wouldn't be surprised if somebody did.
yeah.
But Vince is who he is. He's one of we talk about the pillars all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
Vince is one, man. And
Oh, yeah.
he got the library, he got the wrestlers, he got rid of the wrestlers he didn't want,
Come on,
and
yeah.
so you don't only win the wars of Monday night, you win the wars of professional wrestling.
The wrestling, yeah, because I mean, for how long there was pretty much WWE a monopoly. Like I mean, ROH was in like nothing. I mean, I liked ROH, just like I said, man. It was all about indie wrestling, and back in the day, you had a young Kenny Omega, young Will Ospreay. You had like all these, Jay White. All these great wrestlers that are great now were Adam Cole,
Yeah.
Kyle O'Reilly. All these guys were in ROH, man. But
So,
it's
yeah.
kind of weird how now they're like known and popular and stuff like that. But man, like these people didn't realize, like, wow, man, they actually had all these dudes in one small organization and nobody paid attention to them.
Yeah, man. I mean, they had Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Seth Rollins
Yeah, all
was in
those
there.
And
That's right.
and that's when a famous AJ Styles and
Oh yeah, that's right.
when he was telling them, like, hey, you guys are just a bunch of indie guys.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we are, but now we're the majority here in the back. You know what I mean? So you can ignore it as much as you want, but the fans want what they want. And
exactly.
Kevin Owens, legend, bro. Like he's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
go
man. Kevin Steen, as he was known back then.
Samoa Joe,
Yeah.
beast, man. He could
Yeah.
go anywhere.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. And I mean, and like I don't know, man. Like it's kind of like, to me, I'm kind of worried because like I think out of WWE, I mean, 'cause I don't watch the product at all, like I said, but I mean, I'll read a couple things here and there, but I think the only one that I've seen, like, because I mean, Roman's gonna get up there in age pretty soon, and all of a sudden he's gonna go on a decline, I think, just a little bit, but his popularity. But I think the only one that right now is like Braun Breaker. I think that's the name, Braun Breaker, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the dude I know right now. I think is like hot right now, man. That's a known dude. I hear stuff about like Cena, what's it, Cena Lokawa or Loka or whatever. He's doing some bit with the Gorillas of Destiny that were in New Japan at the time with Tama Tonga and these cats. I've heard like little things here and there, but I think like, because I mean like the names I know is like let's see, who is it? Braun Breaker and Rhea Ripley. I know that's another big name, for the women. I see Charlotte Flair still there, Becky Lynch, stuff like that. But at least like we're talking about right now, it's like back then in ROH and TNA, you had AJ Styles, you had Samoa Joe, Seth Rollins, you had like a gigantic roster, man. Because I mean, even AEW, I mean, like what I've read is like it's pretty much the same crap. You know what I'm saying? It's like Dean Ambrose, I mean, John Moxley, his little clique, man. Hangman, the Young Bucks, the Don Callis family. I miss Private Party, like all the dudes that started with them, the OGs, man. And they just put those dudes to the side, man. But like that's what I hate about the business, man, is that I don't know, how can you not find storylines for these guys, man? You
Right.
know,
You
it's
know, and
crazy.
going back to the internet and ruining everything. Private parties in talks with NXT, so they're going to be
Right.
WWE's. You
There
know,
you go. See what I mean, man? It's like, and I don't blame them. I don't blame those guys. I don't blame because it's like, hey, it's a business, bro. I get it.
yeah,
You know,
they're
it's just
young.
like when Cora Jade went out there when she was Elena Black. You know, she started off in AEW during the COVID era. You know,
Right.
and I thought she was cool, man. And that's another thing that kind of like disappoints me because I'm thinking, man, you bring in these badass dudes, man, and why doesn't Tony Khan sign these people? You know, these guys are great, man. You could build them, you can mold them however you want to, and he doesn't, dude. I don't get it. You know, I don't get it. I sometimes I feel like he has these great opportunities, man, and he drops the ball. He's like a mini Vince Russo, but not as bad with the storylines. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, and I think that goes back to it focuses on his business savvy. You know, like
Yeah,
how are you going to hire all these wrestlers and expect them to get airtime? You know, and I
exactly, man.
just saw an interview with Devon Dudley where Tony Khan had him come in, and you know,
Oh yeah,
more than once, Devon was just left in the waiting room, man, and
yeah,
he was like, you know what, I don't need this. You know, I
yeah,
want to do something productive and this and that. He was like, well, I'm paying you, man. Like, he's like, yeah, but that's not the point. I'm here for
yeah,
passion. So, I mean, Tony Khan, you know, he just did what WCW did. They just hired
yeah,
everyone. They just hired.
yeah. And that's what happens when you put a fan as a, and I'm not disrespecting anybody that is that, because all of us are friends at the end of the day, but when you actually put like an actual wrestling fan, it's just because your dad has a ton of money, you think you can run an organization, you think you can make storylines and stuff. You have to have the right kind of people with you, and this dude has had those type of people, but he doesn't know how to keep them, man. I think that's his problem. He had Arn Anderson. Come on, man. You had Arn Anderson. That's one of the original Four Horsemen. It's like that guy has a ton of, I bet you, of knowledge, man. But I don't know, man. I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on, man. I really don't. But going back to the WCW thing, it's like it sucked, man, because like in a way, I get that the product was getting stale, but I always say this, like, competition builds your brand. It makes you step up your game. And that's what I remember hearing like Stone Cold say about, like, and Triple H about the WCW when they were around. They're like, okay, man, I mean, now we got to step it up. We got to put a great show out there, and it was about the fans and the organization and the wrestler and the character. It was a mix of everything back in those days. And nowadays, it's just like, dude, I'm looking at the ring, and both of them, because I've seen the rings in both WWE and in AEW. And it's like, if I'm looking at NASCAR, there's all these like promoting this, promoting that. It's like, what the hell is this crap? You know what I mean? It's like, what? What am I watching?
Yeah, man. And then you got wrestlers like Logan Paul, right?
Oh God, don't get me started on that.
Yeah, and you know, not to take anything away from him, that dude has great matches. I don't know if
Yeah.
you see him out here,
Nah,
but
I've never. I can't stand those dudes, man.
I mean, he has a springboard moonsault from the middle rope to the outside.
Damn.
Beautiful. You would like
Wow.
it.
Okay. Okay.
But the point is like you have all these other real pro wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
You're going with Logan. Why? Because he's gonna put that little emblem in the ring. He's gonna put his drinks on the side. And you're gonna make more money, right?
Exactly. That's
And
what. That's what goes back to what I told you. It's all about the damn money, man.
and you know that's what I love about the indie scene, right?
Yes.
Um, you know, even though I had a few free outlaw beers here and there, props to them. Thank you for that. Uh, you know, it's just focused on the wrestling, man. The people, the vibe, and everything else is just second nature. Like you go to an indie show to get away from the norm, right?
Yeah.
And then you put on WWE and you're like, oh, there's commercials even while I'm watching the product. So,
Exactly.
you know, and you know, I don't know if you remember that one Hulk Hogan promo where he was talking trash to Vince Russo. And
Oh
he was
yeah.
telling me, like, this is why this show is bullshit now, man, you know? And
Yes. This is why this company's going down the toilet or something like that.
yeah, and for somebody like Hulk Hogan to say that to somebody else, you know Vince Russo was just there to terminate the product.
Exactly, man. I mean, come on, Hulk Hogan was a freaking legend at the time, and even back then, at that time, it was like what, 1999, 2000, around there, 2001, and for him to say that, it's like, wow, man, like WCW really is going in the toilet. You know what I mean? Come on, man. You had, like, was it Buff Baggles' mom on a forklift match, or you had Viagra on a pole match? It's like,
Yeah.
these all sound like, after hours show that, that PWL put together, man. But those are fun, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those after hours shows. But this is a professional. I mean, honestly, I'm not dissing PWL, man, but it's like this is a major organization back then. It's like millions and millions of dollars were spent on these
Yeah.
people and production and stuff. And the best thing you can come up with is Buff Bagwell's mom on a forklift. I mean, that's ridiculous, man.
And Buff was great, man. Buff was the stuff.
Yes, man. Buff was the stuff, bro. Dude, they just dropped the ball with so many wrestlers back then, and it's kind of true, man. They never really gave the younger guys an opportunity. It was always about the NWO. I get it, but dude, that shit got stale after a while. It's like, okay, man, like you want something fresh, dude. You got Jericho, man. You got, you got the Radicals, man. You got Rey Mysterio. You got Juventud. You got all these other cats, man, coming in, and you're not giving them an opportunity because your main focus is on Hulk Hogan and NWO.
Yeah, man. And I remember it had to be 1999 or 2000, and we were lucky enough that Rey Mysterio came through to EPWF. Conan was actually the EPWF World Champion for a while.
Wow, no
Yeah,
way.
yeah, he actually held the title.
Oh,
And
wow.
and what was good about seeing them is that you could tell they were having fun,
Yeah.
right? They were there. They loved the atmosphere. They just loved to wrestle, and they got away from that mainstream, all that drama. And the money obviously wasn't nearly as enough,
Oh,
right?
hell no.
But even then, they were happier doing the indie shows because the big shows were just, it was just for the NWO. If you weren't Hogan's boy, you weren't gonna get with.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't Hogan's boy, you're gonna get your freaking mask taken off. So like
Yeah.
to come to the indie scene and for me to see it, because I still remember how like these guys were having the time of their lives, man. And
Wow.
it was
Cool.
awesome to see. And and even back then, I could be like, man, it's great to make it to that high level, but it also sucks, man, because you got to deal
Oh,
with
yeah.
all the politics. Yeah,
Oh, yeah. Politics up the ass, man. I mean, it's like that's what kind of sucks. I mean, if it happens in the real world with us, at our jobs, I could just imagine these guys with millions of dollars. And, you know, I've heard things about, in the indie scene. I'm not like, too much into deep or anything like that, like you have been, man. But, I've heard things, and it's like, yeah, man, it's like it goes back to saying like, well, I deserve to be champion or I deserve to be this. It's like, come on, man. It's like, you got to go, to me personally, you got to go by the popularity. I think that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you're hot, dude. Then, yeah, man, put the belt on this person, man. Sell some t-shirts. I get it. I mean, not everybody could just go in there and say like, oh, well, I bust my ass. Everybody busts their ass out there, bro. It's not that just one person, that, I'm me. No, it's like, okay, like who's hot, man? Like, that's why, like, any indie promoter out there, man, it's got to be rough, man. It's got to be tough for these guys, man, because they got their local talent, and then a lot jealousy's involved and like politics, just like you said, man. It's tough out there, man. If it's happening in the indies, I could just imagine in the professional level,
oh yeah,
with the organizations up there with AEW and WWE, MLW, TNA. Because I mean, I consider I'm not considering MLW like a giant organization, but they're out there.
yeah,
GCW, same thing, man. It's like I think those guys are the king of the indies right now, to tell you the truth.
yeah, man. And MLW still got some AEW cats that roll through.
Yeah.
Put on good shows.
Yep.
And exactly what you were saying, man. As long as you're a good worker, you put in the work. I was just having this conversation with Mel. She had her little incident with Nolan, but we're not gonna talk about that. But I was telling her like look, because she's a huge Chaos fan, right?
Oh yeah.
And for me, like, because I was like, okay, it's time for him to lose the belt. It's time for him to lose the
Yes.
belt. And I had to make her understand. It's like, it's not because I don't like the kid. In fact,
Yeah.
that kid went out there every week and busts his ass.
He defended like 14 times, man. That's
So,
awesome, man.
the respect level I have for anybody, especially Chaos, man, going out there every week. But even so, like, it gets stale, man. You need something
Yeah.
different. You need something new. And you know, he went away from her a little bit. He came back, um, and the people loved it. Like it was the
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
So the same thing with NWO. Like, how are you gonna get better than the Hogan turn? Like,
Yeah.
there's nothing else. There's nothing, right?
Never, bro.
So you like atomic bombed it, and now like that's it. There's no bomb that's gonna be bigger than that.
Yeah, exactly, man.
You gotta let it go, man. You gotta kill
Yeah,
it. You gotta let it go. And
exactly, man. And then what's kind of sucks is like me personally, man. Like I see like Bullet Club. It's like a Bullet Club's Bullet Club in Japan. That's where to me that's where it started, and that's where it's gonna end, man. You
yeah,
know, I don't like AEW has Bullet Club Gold. Then you go to WWE and they use like these stupid names like the OC. You know what I'm saying? The original club, and I don't know what the hell crap they have out there, but it's like. Yeah, dude, that's not gonna work, man. Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, man. I wish the NWO would have rotated leaders like the Bullet Club did. Kept it fresh. I mean, a lot of people still shit on the Bullet Club now because they're not big fans of David Finlay, but I think that dude really built his character, man, like big time.
yeah, man. I mean, they had the Finn Balor's, they had the Cody Rhodes, the Kenny
Yep,
Omegas.
yep. Jay White.
Yeah, I mean, Jay White. He's coming up. He's gonna get his time in the sun too. I
Oh
think he got
yeah,
hurt, right? So he's been out
yeah.
a
He's
while.
hurt right now, man. That's what I heard.
But when you were in the NWO and WCW, there was a few people that got hurt, and that was it, man. You never saw him again.
Exactly, man.
La
Exactly.
Parca threw out his knee, and that was pretty much it for him,
That was
man.
it. Yep.
And but there's guys like, let's say Hogan gets hurt. I mean,
Yep.
he's still gonna be there.
Yes. Exactly,
And
man.
you get tired of that, man. You get tired. You need something new. You
Yep.
need something.
Yeah. Exactly. I agree, man. And this is what happened. Just like you say with the whole Vince Russo thing. It's like I guess they saw, wow, this is getting stale. Let's just keep one organization instead of having two. And let's just tank this one, and let's move on and let's see, what we can bring, something new and fresh to everybody. And like you said, it pretty much did because like it killed them. It killed WCW, got killed out. You made a good point. They brought in the wrestlers that Vince wanted. They got rid of the ones they didn't want. And then they kind of kept a couple storylines here and there. They did that whole invasion. And after that, that's when like, okay, like 2002, 2003, that's when all right, cool, man. Here comes the aggression era. Here comes, Cena. Here comes, Batista. Here comes Orton, all these like new cats and like Brock Lesnar, fresh dudes, man. So it was, I mean, hey, at the end of the day, it's a business, unfortunately, man. I wish it wasn't, but it's all about money, man. It's all about money. It always has been, man.
And speaking of that, in the NWO, we were just mentioning like Cena and everything. Even Cena had a match with Bray Wyatt, and Cena put on an NWO shirt, man, and he came out
Yes,
and
that was
everything.
cool. That was
So
so cool, man.
so for even that's the power and the staying power that NWO is always gonna have, man.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
tattooed NWO on my arm because it's for life,
Yep.
and props to them, even props to the way they ended it because it had to be done,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and you don't want it to linger, you don't want it to go overboard. It's like seeing an old sick dog, and you just feel sorry for it, man.
Yeah, exactly, man.
So luckily they were able to put it out of his misery, and we have these great tales we can tell, and I have my kids watching old WWE films, and trying to
Nice.
let them see like what you see now is not what we saw back in the day.
Nothing, man. Nothing compared to nothing, man. Because like I was telling Bobby, chaotic. I was telling her like, you don't realize how cool it was back in that era, man. Because I would record one thing and like go to watch the other one live, and then when that one would finish, I'd go back and like watch what I recorded. I'd go
Yeah,
back and forth. One week I'd record Raw, and the other week I would record WCW. And I'd watch the other one live. Back and forth and stuff like that. It was
yeah,
just
yeah.
so great, man. It was just a great era, and these kids are never gonna know, because you can't compare WWE and AEW War compared to the W because both first of all they're not on Monday night. Both of them are not on Monday night like they were back then. And to me, it was like something great. It was amazing. It was awesome. It was so much fun. I miss those days, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. And that's probably another reason why we love the Bastards, man. They bring
Yep.
that game warfare to you,
Yes.
and
Yes.
we love it, man. It just lingers on, and it shows in our how we love our wrestling. You know,
Exactly, man.
I send you those reels all the time.
Hell yeah, man. Shoot.
And you're never gonna see something drastic like that on a WWE show.
Nah. Nah,
You got to
man.
look for it. You got to look for it now. And
Yeah. Oh,
before,
yeah. Yeah.
NWO was just throwing people on their necks. Kevin Nash was breaking backs. I mean, refs were getting it. It was
Yeah.
bad
It
back
was
then.
awesome, man. It was great, man. It was great. I like when Stone Cold started doing that in WWE, and Stone Cold studying referees and the
Everybody.
rock body, doing the rock bottom on referees. And like everybody was getting it, man. Chicks were getting hit, man. It was, I mean, I don't condone that, but I thought that was great. It's so entertaining, man. It's like seeing these chicks take, power bombs off from the Dudley Boys from the turnbuckle onto tables. It's like that's insane.
And they were like 70-year-old women taking
Yes,
them.
May Young. Look it up, kids. Look that one up. May Young getting power bombed by the Dudley Boys. It's the greatest, man. Off the stage, not even like in the ring.
Yeah. It was good. And then they took it to TNA and they were doing it there too.
Yeah, it did to Dixie Carter and everything, man. It's like it's awesome, man. But all right, man. Any closing statements, Mr. Professor?
No, man, let's see where we can go from here. Maybe we can touch a little bit on the DX, the
All
other
right.
side of the other side of the war.
All right, man.
Yeah, man, like any fans, they want to chime in, they want to let us know their memories. Just
let us know. Let us know, and sure, you could even be on the show if you like, man. We're going to do through Google Meet. I'll just give me your Gmail and I'll send you guys a link, and we can chat it up, about this stuff. To me, one thing I want to talk about also, Art, later on, maybe in another episode for sure, is the territories, man. How like I feel that that Vince McMahon kind of killed that, and it sucks. I get it. It's a business, man, but dude, so many territories back then, man. It was great, man. And AWA, you had the WCCW, World Class Championship Wrestling. You had stuff out there in Memphis with Jerry Lawler, and it was cool because like it was so. I'm just gonna, before I close it out, when I would see like Ric Flair versus Kerry Von Erich, it's like, wow, man, Ric Flair, that guy's from NWA, man. What's he doing down here in Texas? It was amazing back then, and I was a kid. I was a little kid when I used to watch it back then. But that'll be at a later date, man. But I like that DX idea, though. That'll probably be the next show.
Let's do it, man.
All right, man. So in closing, man, thank you, Professor Arthur Wine, as always, the host, man, the hostess with the mostest. He's very knowledgeable, like I said. Love chatting it up with my brother here. And that's Arthur Wine. I'm BC Dad. Thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you on the next episode. And like I said, hey, send us a DM, man. Send Art one, send me one. You can also hit us up on I have a Gmail account for the podcast. It's the PWL podcast 915@gmail.com. Send questions, or if you want to be on the show, let us know, man. We'll chat it up. Like we said, we're not this type of podcast that it's only about me and Art. It'd be great to see other individuals on our show and our platform, sharing the love of old school wrestling with me and him. Absolutely. So we'll close it out, man. Thanks, Art. Thanks again, man. Appreciate it. And thank you, everybody. And we'll see you on the next show. And we're out.